Alright, so now let's summarize the Quirklogic Papyr, and as usual, let's start with the cons. There's a few cons definitely that are associated with this product, and I think they need to be mentioned so that people are aware of what the product is, what are its strong points and what are its weak points. So I'm going to start with general, non-questionable cons, such as the battery life definitely has to be improved. At the moment, November 2020, not the best, and the battery life is definitely a con, but there's definitely room for a lot of improvement there, so it's going to be interesting to see if they manage to do that. Similar story is with the second con as well, and that's the writing latency. So as you've seen in the tested test, this is the slowest latency currently of the tested devices that I've had. Now, I don't know how it actually measures up with the Quaderno and the Sony devices, which both are based upon, because these are basically Sony devices, different environments. So I imagine that they all perform the same, and I've also read that the Sony users also complained that it's quite slow. So yes, that's definitely there, but again, as with the battery life, there is room for improvement, and that's something that they're working on, and it's a priority that they're trying to get. So they're trying to incrementally increase the latency speed of the screen, so that's going to be definitely interesting to monitor and see, are we going to get a perceptible or a measurable type of improvements over the coming updates. So that remains to be seen, but as it is now, latency speed is slow. Pen itself, it's definitely can be considered as a con for quite a few users. For me, it's not, but a lot of users say they really don't like that the pen needs to be charged via USB, or that it needs to be charged. So it's something that you have to keep in mind. The pen can run out of juice, and you definitely don't want to be in that situation. So definitely something that's not great. The nibs themselves, the gray nibs, they spend really quickly. And herein lies the second con, which is hopefully it's going to be resolved very soon. But as of yet, currently, this platform is so young that you can't really purchase the nibs, replacement nibs yet. However, I've talked to them about that, and they are absolutely assuring me that that's one of their most top priorities, to get that in line as soon as possible. And that means, well, I can't tell you what that means like in timeline, but that means very soon that you'll be able to choose and buy at a very reasonable price. That's something that they put an accent on, that they want their nibs to be reasonably priced, and it's something that that you should definitely keep an eye on, that they're a fair company, they're trying to do things fairly. So replacement nibs should become available very soon, and you should be able to buy gray nibs, which is this one, which spend faster. They have a very rough kind of felt type of feel, but they also spend more quickly, or the black nibs, which are harder and they're a little bit more slippery, but with this screen that doesn't really mean a lot, so that they last longer and basically a little bit less resistance than this one. But as it is now, currently, nibs do spend quickly, and if you run out of a nib, you can't actually buy a replacement one, and it's not possible to use the replacement nibs, the other ones, because they're not the same standard as I've tested. So definitely for early adopters, it's something that you should be very much aware of. Another con is another fact of life, and that is the administrative things take a long time, and Quirklogic is now waiting for administrative processes to actually finalize so that the device can actually be sold outside of North America. However, as it is right now, you can't buy it. Even if you wanted to, you cannot buy it outside of North America, and you have to wait until these administrative things are actually processed and finalized so that the device can normally be shipped and sold outside of North America. So definitely a con for potential European and Asian buyers. Hopefully it's going to be solved very soon, but at the moment of making this review, it's there, so definitely a con. Another con that doesn't really affect me that much, but it's something that I think that users should be aware of, is that it is not the fastest of the devices out there. So the processing does take a little bit of time, and loading does take a little bit of time. So it's something that it's a relaxed type of device. However, again, once you actually enter that workbook, Basically, just opening a workbook takes a little bit of time, depending on the complexity and the content, but once it actually loads, then the inside operations are quite good. So, and the speed is normal. However, that kind of operations is a little bit medium speed to slow. And also the clunkiness of the early UX and early UI. It's the typical thing that always happens, and that's too many commands and too many touches and some confusing things. So streamlining of the UI is something that will definitely come at a later date, and usually it comes after about 8-9 months. Usually that's what happens with the companies, so because you get a lot of good feedback and then you understand, okay, this was our vision, so now we have to kind of shape it up like this and redirect it here. So this is a natural process for a very, very young platform that just launched and doesn't even have 6 months under its belt. So that's normal. But again, if you're an early adopter, you need to be aware of these things. So the user interface suffers from that typical early version. I think that the company is showing a lot of promise and a lot of dedication and love towards their product. And the coming updates, if what they're promising is true and it actually comes out, then this is not something that actually will concern me at all, because these things are things that are kind of organically improved as more users start to use it, and as the team gains a little bit more experience as far as the UI goes. Basically, the device experience grows as the team grows as well. However, as it is now, you should be prepared for a little bit of clunkiness with the UI and a little bit of slow operations with opening the workbooks. Once the workbook is open, then it actually works. However, definitely something that I should mention as a potential con for some users. And finally, well, I don't know, I feel kind of dumb saying that this is a con, but I feel obligated to say it because a lot of comments and questions were, let's say, misinformed regarding the device. Quirklogic Papyr is not a reader. I mean, let me repeat, this is currently not a reader device. This is a real-time collaboration workbook type of a device. And that's what it's actually focusing on, and that's what it's actually doing the best. Yes, you can convert some PDFs into a document, or basically convert it as template backgrounds in your workbook. So as a cheat, currently you can use it. However, it is not a reader and it does not have reader capabilities or functionalities. Now, this is something that they are keeping in mind, and it is potentially something that's gonna happen. So maybe sometime in the future, Papyr will become a dedicated reader as well. However, as it is now, this is not a reader type of device. Yes, it has some limited PDF functionalities that you can import and do some really awesome functionalities with the PDFs. For example, the thing that I actually talked about, where you can import a PDF and then insert a page between pages of a document for you to write notes. Currently, this is pretty much the only device that I know that can do that. However, you then, on the other side, you have the limit of 25 megabytes for the imported PDF material. So yeah, balancing things out. However, yeah, I mean, it again gives me something that no other device can quite easily. So that's pretty sweet. But yeah, it's a very, very focused type of a device, and it should not be considered as a reader. It should be considered as a real-time collaborative workbook type of a device. Now for the positives of the device itself. And for me, there's quite a lot. For me, a lot more than negatives. It just takes time to actually understand the device and get to use it and to see where it actually fits in your workflow and if it works in your workflow. That's an important point. So generally speaking, I love the devices that are honest, and Quirklogic Papyr most definitely is. It clearly says, I ain't doing that and I'm not meant to do that, and I'm doing this really, really well, so use me that way. And that type of kind of black and white situation is something that I really, really love. Let's cover the most obvious pluses as far as I'm concerned, and that's the screen itself and the writing surface and the distance from the surface. So all of those things that I talked about in the screen section of the review, they're really, really big plus, because on a day-to-day basis, it matters. And the lighter background of the screen compared to other devices, especially because it's not front-lit, that also matters. There's crispness of the screen, the contrast, how it's calibrated, very, very nice, and it just is really, really usable. The second thing that I really love about it is just how light and thin, and for a big device, how easy it is to manage. So that's something that's definitely a plus once you overcome that initial fear of, is it fragile or not? Once I understood that it's actually not that fragile as I thought it was, then it just took its completely different kind of platform. And just look how thin this is. It's super, super awesome. I just love that kind of stuff, and yeah, it's very, very easy to handle with one hand, super easy to handle in one hand despite its size. That's most definitely a plus. I like the writing feel, and I like that it's raspy and kind of scratchy and all that kind of stuff. For me, that works really, really well. However, that definitely might not be the case for some other people, so you have to try and judge from what I've shown here if that's something that works for you or not. But for me, the writing feel definitely, despite the latency, the feel itself is something that I like. And then we come to the two biggest pros of all, which is the point of this device to begin with. We have the Inkworks as the centralized brain and the real-time collaborative platform. I've talked at length on it, and I showed at length on it, and I hope if you don't understand by now, after watching that video, why that's a pro, then this device is not for you. However, if you've seen what it does, then automatically, if it fits your workflow, then you absolutely automatically understand, oh yeah, this device is definitely for me. So I'm definitely in that other category where, yeah, this guy just fills in a workflow problem that I had for a long time and just simplifies it immensely. The ability to just do everything on a device and skip that whole step of sharing with somebody else, that it's automatically shared and collaborative at the same time on multiple devices, multiple participants, and that you can just so easily slot it into your existing work platform, it's fantastic. And then on top of that, you also have the Infinity Canvas. So those two combined really make the Papyr experience unique, and that's the selling point of the device. As far as I'm concerned, the Inkworks itself environment, real-time collaboration environment, and the Infinity Canvas, again, which is part of that whole thing, that's what makes this product special, and that's what makes it worth. And there's a couple more things after I talked to the Quirklogic, some really, really important stuff which no other device or service offers. And here's the one that's very important. A lot of enterprise type of corporations and organizations will not allow an external cloud functionality, which means Remarkable is out of the question, Books is out of the question, and this would also be out of the question had they not thought of that, and they have. Quirklogic offers a service to actually set up your own virtual cloud, which will have the same Inkworks type of capabilities that you've seen. However, they are then hosted on your own server, which means you don't have to go outside of your safe zone and inside of a LAN environment. That's a huge thing for people who understand what it is. That's a game changer. And again, it talks about just how focused this device is for work. So it's for organization. So if you're a school and you don't want some problematic type of communications or anything like that, you set it up on a school server and it works. If you're a government organization, which will never in a million billion years allow a Remarkable or a Books type of device to be used for work, Not so with the Papyr, because you can set up your own server under your own rules, and the IT department will then say, all right, here you go, and then you can use it. That's absolutely fantastic, and that's a huge plus as far as I'm concerned. And basically it's the whole, for me, it's a big pro is, so far from what I've seen and heard, the Quirklogic as a company. And this is the first time I'm actually talking about something like that, but this really is a very different type of experience to anything else that I've experienced so far. I really should start writing the script and so that I avoid these things. Anyway, it seems that they are very focused on what they're doing, that they know what they want from their product, but they are also flexible enough at the same time. And that's the winning combination, that you have a direction, but you're not on railway tracks, that you can steer. And that's a very important thing for a fresh and young product. And it seems like they are doing a really, really good job at a very difficult act of balancing between what the users are asking for and what is our roadmap. We're gonna see how that goes, but my initial impression from what I've seen so far and what I've heard is very, very positive. Also, their support is amazing, and yeah, it's quite a different type of experience. It's excellent. So that's a pro for me. And with that in mind, there's quite a few things that we can actually look forward to. So shortly, we're gonna have split screen functionality. They're working on better power management. They're working on better latency on the screen. They are working on improving a whole sorts of things as far as this goes. They are also thinking about lifting the limit of the 25 megabyte importing of documents. They're planning of and improving the availability of nibs and all that kind of stuff so that customers can get what they need normally. They're also thinking about adding functionality-wise bookmarks for pages and bookmarks for documents. I forgot to actually mention the whole thing has a tags system, so you can tag workbooks and search for them that way, but you can't do a word search on an imported document because it's an image, not a text, and you cannot search written text yet. But they are also working on having text recognition or handwriting recognition, and also ways how to better organize your work books and how to find things that you need as your work on the Papyr grows. So yes, it's a very young platform, and as such, early adopters need to keep an open mind and understand this is a young platform that's developing and it needs to grow a little bit more and tighten up a little bit more as well. So I'm very actually excited to see how this goes and where it actually goes over time, and I'll be able to actually keep you updated with every coming update, and then you guys will also be able to see how the Papyr as a platform is progressing. So once it becomes available for sale outside of the North America, or if you are already in North America and you're thinking about it, then you'll see, okay, this device is for me or it's not for me. Finally, the price range of $699, as I mentioned, while that's a very high price in general, I mean, $700 for a device that's limited, right? But you have to keep in mind that for a 13.3-inch e-ink type of display, that's as low as you can go. And also when you couple with the service type that's already provided and what the company is promising to be, I think that if this is the type of workflow that you need, if this is a device that will improve and slot in easily into your existing workflow, then it's absolutely worth the money. If you're just looking for just a note taker and a reader, absolutely not. This is not the device that does that. It's not even trying to do that. So this is something else. For note-taking, yes, but you do have better options, absolutely. As a real-time, collaborative, educational, especially now in the Corona times when everybody's working, hopefully from home, and you need to work online, this thing becomes pretty much priceless, especially if you are in a teamwork where people need to work on the same document at the same time. And then I was thinking about one thing. You remember that mind map that I was writing with the Inkworks and all that kind of stuff? Just imagine if at some point in time they also added an object that you can insert into the workbook, which is a link to another workbook. for design type of purposes or writing type of purposes, but mainly for design type of purposes, that's a godsend. With the Infinity Canvas, you can expand the design however you want. You can reposition it and all that kind of stuff, but not only that, but you can add links that guide into different workbooks, basically nesting them around. And that would pretty much explode the functionality of this, at least for my use case scenario. For any design type of use case scenario, something that needs to be flexible and it grows and it's manageable as it grows, this is irreplaceable. So it fits my use case scenario perfectly. And for work related stuff, when I need something flexible and I'm working on this type of stuff, I'm using the Papyr currently. For everything else, currently I've switched on to Books Note Air. So those are my use case scenarios, and I don't know of another device that can actually replace this guy currently as it is. So how to summarize Quirklogic Papyr? It's a niche type of device for a niche type of audience, and it's not apologizing for that, and I love it for that. It's a very honest product. It does a certain type of things, very, very limited certain type of things, but it does them really well, and it does them better than any competitive product out there. So if the stuff that you've seen is stuff that you need, then this is the device for you. If not, then you should look elsewhere, and that's fine. Not every device needs to cover all of the functionalities. Sometimes it's a really good thing to have a very focused and very finely tuned device such as the Quirklogic Papyr. As such, I love it. Alright, I hope that you liked the video and I hope that you found it useful. If you did, please like and subscribe. The likes and subscribes definitely help. So if you're getting some useful info out of the video, do click that like button, it helps. Also, if you do like the work that I do, please consider checking out the Patreon and becoming maybe an official Patreon for mydeepguide, because that small contribution will definitely make a huge difference on the mydeepguide as a platform, and I'll be able to actually bring you more content, more varied content, and yeah, it's gonna be even better. You'll also get access to behind the scenes types of videos and updates that are exclusive to Patreon support. For existing patrons, thank you so much, it means a ton. That's it from me. Stay safe, stay healthy, and see you in the next video. Bye!